Shalom, shalom. This is going to be a quick, the truth about Ruth. I like the way that sounds, but I hope everybody's doing good today. This is just going to be a quick history lesson on who Ruth was, right? Because I know people question a lot of times who Ruth was. And as you're in this walk and this truth, you know, you do your research and you study to show thyself approved. So I'm going to help study to show myself and you guys approved, rightly dividing the word of truth, giving the knowledge in the sense, as Nehemiah 8:8 says, with some scriptures that'll open the eyes of the blind if you have eyes that can see spiritually, right? But nonetheless, getting into it, the truth about Ruth. It says, starting at chapter 1, verse 1, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled. So you got to ask yourself, what were the days when the judges ruled? Quick history lesson. Well, this whole thing is going to be a history lesson. But check this out. When the judges ruled, right? How they get to that part? How did they get to be rulers? How did they get to be judges? All right, let's go back to Moses. Moses had the book of Deuteronomy. And then after Moses died, who took over? Joshua. So then Joshua took over. That's where you get the book of Joshua. All right. And Joshua, after Joshua died, there was judges on the earth. That's where you get like your Samsons, your Deborah, your Barak, your who else? Your Ehud, your the list goes on. You know what I'm saying? Gideon. You get all of these judges. So in the time of judges, in those days, everybody was in the lands that was allotted to them by Moses. Going back, all right? So it says, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. Now, the country of Moab, right? If you know anything, for example, it says for the nation of Israel, it says what? It says our father was an Amorite and our mother a Hittite. Now, we know that they're not actually Hittites and Amorites, but they're of that land, that country. That's where they came from. So I want to emphasize verse 4. It says, and they talking about Elimelech's sons after they moved to the country of Moab. It says, and they took them wives of the women of Moab, right? Wives of the women of Moab. So what is this talking about, Moab? So if you don't know, the whole book of Deuteronomy was written in what country? What country was the book of Deuteronomy written in? All right. Because Deuteronomy was pretty much, it's called it's like a second law. The term D-E-U-T, Deut, is for like two or second. Deuteronomy, the onomy part is like the law, right? So he's going over the law once more before they go into the promised land. All right. So Deuteronomy, the last chapter of Deuteronomy, is going to tell you where the book of Deuteronomy was written or scribed, right? Where Moses was writing all this. Deuteronomy 34 and verse 1, it says, and Moses went up from the plains of Moab. So they were in the plains of Moab, the country of Moab. That's what plains are. When you look at plains today, right, you see a lot of cattle, you see a lot of land, a lot of grass, some trees. That's a countryside. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab, or the country of Moab, unto mountain of Nebo. That Mount Nebo is powerful. It's strong. You know, a lot of things happen on that Mount Nebo, right? To the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, right? Showing him the promised land, because he wasn't going to get there. But let's go over, because he says in the time of the judges, right? So before they crossed over, something happened. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 14, right? He's talking to a certain group of tribes before they crossed the Jordan into the promised land. And it says this, your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side Jordan. But ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them. Why is he saying to help them? Because we just defeated all the Amorites, all the Ammonites, all the Moabites, all the Edomites. We defeated all of them on that side Jordan. So he's saying, hey, look, you got to go help your brothers conquer their land. I'm going to give you this land, right, in the plains of Moab, but you got to go help your brothers and your sisters fight for their land on the other side of Jordan, east of Jordan, which is the promised land, right? So we see what? Your wives and your little ones and your cattle, because the tribes that were left on that side Jordan in the plains of Moab was Reuben, Gad, and a half of Manasseh. It says they were left because they had good cattle, and the plains of Moab had land for cattle. All right. You with me still? There's a little history lesson. Your wives and your little ones. So if we go back to Ruth, it says they took them wives of the country of Moab. So who left? Who stayed? Your wives, your little ones, right? So we know that there was little ones, there was young virgins that were in the country of Moab. So if somebody was on the other side of Jordan in the land of Judah, they could come back over, and they had family in the plains of Moab, and they could still what? Marry an Israelite. So let me get one more. This is the book of Joshua, chapter 13 and 32. It says, these are the countries which Moses did distribute for inheritance in the plains of Moab, on the other side Jordan by Jericho eastward, right? And if we go up, right, don't want to confuse y'all, but if we go up just to prove all things, it says Manasseh right here. Moses gave inheritance unto the half tribe of Manasseh. Just like I said, if we go up one more, it says this is the inheritance of the children of Gad and their families, right? And if we go back right here, talks about us defeating the Ammonites, right? There goes Gad again. And right here in verse 23, it says, and the border of the children of Reuben was Jordan, and the border thereof. This was the inheritance of the children of Reuben. So we see here that Ruth and her sister, right? They were Israelites, either from the tribe of Gad, Reuben, or what we say, Salakia, or Manasseh, right? So going back to Ruth, let's read it one more time. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled, right, in the lands that Moses gave them, that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country, the plains of Moab, he and his wife and 2 sons. They was like, man, let's go visit our other tribes. They got a nice setup over there. All right, and I want to also pull out this too. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi, and the other 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites, because they were coming from Ephrata, right? Ephrata, Bethlehem. Before we had Jerusalem and Jebus, and before we had Bethlehem, Judah, it was Ephrata. Ephrata was a city, right? But you don't know, a lot of us don't know what Ephrata is coming into the truth, but these were the lands given to our people from Moses. All right, so I hope that, I'm gonna read verse 4 one more time. And they took them wives of the women of Moab, the name of the one Orpah, the name of the other Ruth, and they dwelled there about 10 years. They were able to dwell there because they had defeated all the Moabites in that land, and they took over, right? They defeated all the Ammonites. They took over. They defeated all the Edomites and took over, right? They defeated all the Amorites and took over. And so that's why we were able to dwell peacefully in that land, because it was ours. But we conquered it from Moab. So was Ruth a Moabite, or was she an Israelite? History in the Bible, right? The regular canonized Bible will let us know that she was indeed an Israelite. So, shalom.